Well, I think some of the risks at the moment, some of the near-term risks, of course, because the export markets are so important for us, is that our exchange rate now has appreciated significantly over the last couple of years. And certainly if interest rates rise here, that's going to put more pressure, upward pressure on the exchange rate. So that's a little bit of break in terms of our export markets. A further break, really, in terms of a threat too, is that, as we've spoken of before, is that the mainland European markets have not recovered as fast as we would have liked. So that's a little bit of a negative still, and I think it's going to be a negative for another two or 3 years. Where I think we have got some opportunities is because of the advances in technology in the sector, and because a lot of the regulatory requirements from Brussels have now worked through the system, be it through engine emissions or noise emissions, is that there's more of an opportunity for R&D spend to be dedicated to improvements in products which are dictated by the customer rather than by the legislator. Because we've known over the last 10 to 15 years, something like 70 or 75% of a typical company's R&D spend has been going on regulatory compliance and not to actually necessarily offering the products to the customer that they want.
I think one of the major risks is that the manufacturers in developing markets start to compete with us in terms of the high technology machines. At the moment they're not there yet. They're really building machines for domestic markets that are lower tech, that have lower emissions compliance, that have a less complex control system, and they might not be as durable and reliable as UK or European built machines, but over time they might catch up, and that would allow them to export over here. So at the moment most of the market isn't so cost sensitive that it would buy a machine from a developing market. It will buy a higher tech, higher feature UK built machine. So that is a risk that over time that they catch up, and a lot of the components are generic, so they could develop that capability over time. But I think to counter that, clearly we have the expertise in meeting the emissions compliance. There might be new legislation that drives machines to become even more complex. So hopefully that we can stay one step ahead of these competitors. But also by improving productivity, and this is a fact that comes out in the report, UK productivity in the construction equipment sector has really improved over the past decade. We continue that improvement, then as machines in developing markets become more expensive, the cost gap that exists at the moment should be reduced. So hopefully that we can keep the machines competitively priced and keep down the additional cost of legislation, so that we can still compete both on a technology and a price basis over the next decade.